Hello, I'm James Lancaster, editor of Association Meetings International, and we're recording live at the Meeting Show in London. I'm joined by Thi Dinh, sustainability consultant at The Bulb. Is it The Bulb or The Bulb Eco? What's
The
the full?
Bulb.
The Bulb.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long have you been there? What's your job there, and what does The Bulb do?
I've been there for just over a year. I'm one of the sustainability consultants, and the Bulb provides sustainability consultancy services to the events and creative industry, and that can range from sustainability strategy to implementation plans, training for staff, toolkits, resources, and also accreditations and certifications for things like mega events, as
So
well
not
as
just business events, but
no,
festivals.
yeah,
the whole lot.
festivals, mega events. We were involved with the certification ISO 2012.
Oh, right.
One for Union Day last year in the UAE. So it really varies, and Birmingham Commonwealth Games as well, opening and closing ceremony for that. So,
Right,
yeah.
brilliant. Because the events industry is huge, isn't it? It's very,
Yes,
it's
yeah.
diffuse. There's lots
It
of different-
touches so like millions of people, and so we have a real opportunity to influence like real behaviour change and positive
Yeah,
change.
it's a challenge, but at the same time, it's a massive opportunity, isn't it? So
Exactly.
I know because we received press releases from the Bull quite a lot that you've been growing quite a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, quite exponentially actually, quite a
Yeah.
lot. Is that down to a change in the conversation? Is that down to people taking it more seriously? Is it down to your hard work?
I would say it's a combination of all of the above. I mean, when the business started 8-9 years ago, sustainability wasn't really a part of the conversation in events. And what we've noticed in the last few years is there's been an increase in demand for sustainability expertise. And we're really excited by this sort of the increase, the growth in awareness for sustainability in the industry, and continue, and we hope that we can continue to be a driving force for this change as well. So we're
I guess
still
a lot of it is shareholder expectation, people sort of responding to regulation, that kind of thing. The companies feeling they have to do something.
Yeah, and also consumer pressure as well. A lot, there's various surveys and stats in the public realm whereby consumers and employees the majority of them expect for corporates to take a more of a consideration on the impact that they have on the community where they operate, and also the environment as well, and actually leaving positive legacy, especially with events and whereby most of them tends to be temporary. So creating positive legacy and long-lasting legacy is really important.
So customer pressure, I guess. There's a fair bit of employee pressure as well. I think employees
Exactly.
want to work for
Yeah.
a company that's
Yeah.
doing good. So do you think the events industry per se, and I know it's a big industry, and it's full of, you've got venues, suppliers, planners, it's all over the place really as an industry. But do you think the industry generally is taking sustainability seriously now with the urgency that it requires?
It's yes and no. I think we've moved on from the why so now it's more about when and how do we do it. And, sustainability and creating a sustainable event with positive legacy isn't just a box ticking exercise. It requires culture change, behavior change, and ultimately systemic change. And some people would even say a shift in the economic model as well. And, most businesses are kind of overwhelmed by the task at hand, really. They don't really know how to begin. And that's where we come in. We can help them with all the services that I've mentioned previously. But the main thing that they need to think about is to start as soon as possible, and then to also engage with as many of their stakeholders as possible in order to amplify their efforts.
Because this is what it's about, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're an event planner, then you're dealing with a supply chain.
Yeah,
And
and
there's
customers
limited what you can actually
as well.
do, isn't there?
Yeah,
So you have to have that conversation up and downstream.
up and down.
Yeah.
Get as many people on board as possible, and your employees ultimately.
Yeah. Are you seeing that leadership is taking this seriously now, or I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you need somebody in a company or an organisation who owns this? As, I don't know what the job title would be, sustainability director.
Or chief sustainability officer.
Yeah.
That should be a part of the C-suite, so that they make sure that it's part of the business strategy. I think that should definitely be the case, and we are starting to see more dedicated roles like sustainability manager or coordinator, but most of the clients that come to us at the moment are still in at the beginning of their sustainability journey. So it tends to be the case that it will be an individual or a small team of people who are considered champions, sustainability champions, and it's an add-on to an existing role because they're passionate about it.
That's interesting.
So we're not quite there where every business has a dedicated function or role or department for it. You actually need a department, really.
Yeah. So you come in and do a full audit of a business, you look at everything in the round and then give them a report and say this is what you need to do, essentially.
Well, it's if we're doing a strategy if we're developing it for the business, then we would come in and do what's called a materiality assessment. So we would look at the processes, their policies, their existing policies, interview their stakeholders, look at their competitors and their customers, and then basically develop their goals and targets that is bespoke to them, and then put together an action plan that actually embeds sustainability into their existing processes and the way that they work, so that it's not sort of adding more workload to what, especially in events, an already overworked workforce.
Is it still true generally that it costs more to be sustainable?
I think that's
Is that a bit of a myth?
it's an easy kind of like buff to kick off for an excuse to not be sustainable or to even consider it in the first place, because sustainability, it can also be about efficiency. So if you're being more efficient with your resources, you're reusing them as opposed to creating new ones all the time, you are making savings that way, not just in resources, but also time as well, and removing duplications of efforts.
Is lowering carbon the biggest challenge? Or
it's behaviour change. It's changing the priorities of a business. It should be considered, sustainability should be considered like any other function within a business, like marketing, finance, HR, sales. But it's still a nice to have at the moment. And I mean, you need, it touches like everything that a business does determines how sustainable they are. So we really need basically, how, for instance, you'll have a finance team whose sole purpose is to look at the numbers. But actually, everyone else in the business is considering the bottom line in the kind of like in their day-to-day work as well. So we kind of need that with sustainability. It should be addressed to just like that, in the sense of, we encourage all of our clients to pretty much make sustainability a part of everyone's job, so that they empower their employees to contribute meaningfully to the mission, so to speak. And then also we encourage them to kind of like set up an army of what we called sustainability ambassadors or champions or change makers, whose role it is to make sure that the employees are engaged, to inspire them, but also to make sure that it remains high on the company agenda, and for it to become a part of the company behaviour, culture and value. It shouldn't be just an operational task. It should be, it's a part of everything that we do. It's a consideration, because it's, most companies have like less than 1% of their workforce will specialise in sustainability. But like I mentioned, it touches in everything, every aspect of our of a business. So it should be everyone's job to be more sustainable, or to have sustainability in their considerations and their decisions. Just like, are we going to make money from this deal, this sale, or whatever? It's you know, it's like I said earlier, it's a shift in the economic model. It should be about the 3 Ps: profit, planet and people, not just profit. And I think, especially since COVID, where people are reflecting more on their values and what it means to work, etc., I think that's a real consideration, like you say, with employees and with consumers. So they're really, that's a real factor when they're choosing who to buy from or who to work for.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there are lots of consultancies out there, lots of initiatives in the event space. You've decided, along with Isla and Event Cycle, to kind of come together a bit and work together, to collaborate. Tell us a bit about that. What's it called? The Countdown to 2030, is that it?
Yeah, and I suppose that aligns with the deadline for the SDGs, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, essentially, it's systemic change, and we can't do it in silos. And each of us kind of provide a complementary solution in event sustainability, and we will, and it's, you know, it's all different part, where the consultancy, the strategy and the training and the toolkits. Isla, obviously, they have the membership and also Trace to help with measurement and, you know, understand where your impacts are. And Event Cycle completes the circle with dealing with event waste at the end, and repurposing that, going and creating positive social impact. You know, when, especially with sustainability, where time is of the essence, like, you know, we have to be net zero by 2050, reduce our emissions by 50% by 2030. So time is of the essence. And so we, as a business, really believe in collaboration, even amongst competitors, to you know, kind of pull together our skills and resources, you know, share the burden of innovation, and also sort of, you know, just to overcome sustainability challenges, because there are many excuses as well, not just challenges. It's just to, you know, it's to help and accelerate progress. So I think we practice collaboration, and we encourage all of our clients and our partners to do the same as well.
Great stuff. Well, I wish I had more time to talk. It's fascinating. But thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks for your time.
And we'll catch up later.
Cheers.